Is it just me, or is it getting crazier out there? That poignant line from Arthur Fleck, the man who would become the Joker, resonates far beyond the grime of Gotham City. In 2019, Todd Phillips' Joker didn't just give us a compelling villain origin story. It inadvertently held a mirror up to some uncomfortable truths about modern society, particularly the silent epidemic of male loneliness and the online subcultures it has fueled. The film's dark and unsettling vision became a cultural lightning rod, sparking heated debates and forcing us to look at the unseen and unheard in our own communities. Today, we're going to dive into how Joker became a cultural touchstone, prompting discussions about mental health, societal neglect, and the very real isolation experienced by many men. We'll explore how this feeling of being unseen and unheard can, for some, lead down rabbit holes into online communities like the Red Pill and incel movements. But let's be clear from the outset. Understanding the roots of these feelings is not condoning the often misogynistic or hateful ideologies that can emerge from them. Arthur Fleck's journey is a meticulously crafted descent into madness, but at its heart, it is a story about profound, soul-crushing loneliness. From the very first scenes, we see a man who craves connection, understanding, and recognition. He yearns to be a part of society, to bring joy as a comedian, but he is met with a consistent stream of ridicule, indifference, and violence. Think about his attempts to connect, a failed stand-up routine, the public mockery on the talk show, the dismissal from his social worker, and the tragic misinterpretation of his laughter. Every single attempt is met with rejection. He lives with his ailing mother, a codependent relationship that further isolates him from the outside world. He struggles with a debilitating mental illness and is failed by a system designed to help him, a system that, in a pivotal scene, cuts his funding for therapy and medication. His forced laughter, a symptom of his condition, becomes a tragic metaphor for the performative okayness many men feel pressure to display, masking deep internal pain and a desperate cry for help. This is where we connect Arthur's personal tragedy to a broader societal issue. Societal expectations have, for generations, told men to be strong, self-reliant, and stoic. We're taught to man up, to tough it out, and that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. This cultural script can leave men without the tools or permission to articulate their emotional struggles. We build walls instead of bridges, internalizing our pain and increasing our isolation. This is what it means to be emotionally illiterate in a world that demands a performance of happiness. When traditional avenues for connection, things like deep friendships, open communication, and community involvement, feel closed off, people naturally seek alternatives. And today, the primary alternative is a digital one. This is where the internet enters the picture, acting as both a symptom and an accelerant of this loneliness. For many experiencing deep loneliness and a lack of belonging, online communities offer a seductive and powerful promise, a place where you're finally understood, where your frustrations are validated, and where you're part of an in-group. When traditional society feels like it's failed you, an online echo chamber can feel like a sanctuary. This is the fertile ground where movements like the Red Pill and more extremely, incel culture have grown. The Red Pill, a term borrowed from the Matrix, refers to a collection of ideologies, primarily online, that claim to offer men a truth about intergender dynamics and societal power structures. Proponents often argue that modern society is biased against men, and that women hold disproportionate power in relationships. While it often starts with a perceived analysis of dating and relationships, it can quickly devolve into a cynical, paranoid, and often deeply misogynistic worldview. The incel movement, short for involuntary celibates, is an even more extreme offshoot. Incels are individuals, primarily men, who feel unable to find romantic or sexual partners despite desiring them. Their online communities often express deep resentment, bitterness, and anger towards women and sexually active men, sometimes promoting hateful and violent rhetoric. While Joker doesn't explicitly mention these groups, the character of Arthur Fleck, a man feeling rejected and overlooked by society, by his peers, and by women, resonated strongly with some within these communities. He became a symbol of the outsider, the man who was systematically stripped of dignity, empathy, and hope. His final dance of defiance isn't just a rejection of society. It's a warped embrace of an identity forged in isolation and resentment. This resonates deeply with the narratives often found in these online subcultures. The feeling of being an outsider, a victim of a system perceived as unfair, and the subsequent lashing out. But let's zoom out from the individual and look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about a few isolated men on the internet. It's a quiet but dangerous epidemic with profound consequences for our society and our future. What happens when a significant portion of a population feels profoundly disconnected? The statistics are alarming. Data from various studies show a stark decline in the number of close friends men have. A recent survey in the U.S. found that the percentage of men who reported having no close friends has risen dramatically over the last few decades. This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a public health crisis. The scientific community has drawn a clear line. Chronic loneliness is as damaging to a man's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day or obesity. It's linked to higher rates of cardiovascular disease, depression, and a significantly increased risk of premature death. This is where we see a rise in maladaptive coping mechanisms. We see higher rates of substance abuse, obsessive work habits, and an alarming increase in suicide rates among men, a rate that is significantly higher than that of women. These are not just individual tragedies. They are a direct consequence of a societal failure to equip men with the emotional vocabulary and social permissions they need to thrive. When a man feels unseen and unheard by the world around him, the void is often filled with anger and resentment, making him vulnerable to manipulation and extreme ideologies. It's vital to differentiate here. Arthur Fleck is a fictional character, and his actions are extreme and violent. The vast majority of men experiencing loneliness do not turn to violence or hateful ideologies. However, Joker served as a stark reminder that ignoring profound isolation and mental distress, regardless of gender, can have devastating consequences. The film doesn't glorify Arthur's actions, but it forces us to confront the societal failures that contributed to his downfall. The danger of this epidemic, therefore, is not just in the individual suffering it causes, but in the way it erodes the very fabric of our communities. A healthy society is built on connection, trust, and shared understanding. When a large group of people feel isolated and unheard, civic engagement declines, social cohesion fractures, and empathy becomes a scarce resource. So what's the solution? We have to tackle this head-on. We have to challenge the outdated cultural scripts that demand men be emotionless and self-reliant. We have to encourage men to build meaningful friendships and seek help when they're struggling. It's about creating spaces, both online and offline, where men can connect, express vulnerability, and find a sense of purpose that isn't built on anger or isolation. Joker didn't provide answers, but it sparked a necessary conversation. It illuminated the darkness of profound loneliness and the potential for it to be exploited. By understanding the underlying pain that can fuel these movements, we can begin to build a more compassionate and connected world for everyone. Because ultimately, connection, not isolation, is what truly heals. And remember, films and series are just a mirror of our society.